Thank you, Commissioner, and I appreciate your comments and your opening statement. And I mentioned in my opening statement that many of us on this subcommittee are concerned by the high levels of telework across Social Security Administration. Field office staff, the direct line service to America's seniors, are only in the office 3 days per week, and over 60% of your staff in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore are in the office less than 3 days a week. I pointed out that the previous audit reports have noted that the Social Security Administration does not restrict telework by job position. Not only does the agency rank at the bottom across the government for in-person work, but the telework policy has not been designed considering the agency's primary mission. According to a September report provided to us by your office in FY 2024, the average wait time for Social Security Administration 1-800 number was 28 minutes. The average processing time for an initial disability application was 7.5 months, and the average processing time for hearing decisions was 11 months. These numbers are essentially unchanged from FY 2022 when you go back and look at them. My question to you, Commissioner, will you commit today to bringing back those 58,000 employees back into the office?
Mr. Chairman, they never stopped. They never stopped working. We'll unpack this a little bit. I made a change to the telework policy. In fact, I made it as soon as I got there on February 2nd. And I brought some photographic proof. It's the parking lot at the Social Security headquarters in Baltimore. This is another view of that same parking lot. This is another view of that same parking lot. It's a big parking lot, and it's a big headquarters. And the Federal News Network at the time of that change said that perhaps Social Security has set the new balance in this post-COVID world where people compete based on wages and health benefits and also work-life balance. This agency, in fact, without any thanks, the field offices were opened as soon as there were vaccines available. And they're actually open longer hours now than they were before when they used to close at earlier hours. So, and if we hadn't been a leader in telework in the second term of President Obama, could you imagine how they would have kept the checks cranking out when the evacuation had to happen? So we opened the field offices right away. We're actually in the mid-range among large agencies in terms of the balance between telework and in-person work. And further, the numbers you cited about service improvement are dated. If you want to see the live, like up-to-date to the month service delivery, on Social Security's website, there's an icon called Security Stat. And with 60 days, I put up for all of you and the people in charge, the citizens of the United States, to see the trend lines over the last 7 years of your reductions to this agency's staff and capabilities, and the trend lines from the beginning of the year. Every major service area is being improved by the men and women of Social Security. And, Mr. Chairman, it's being done in a way and with a degree of openness and transparency that exists nowhere else in any federal agency. Every 2 weeks through Security Stat, we drive down bad things like wait times. The number you cited on the 1-800 number, we've actually reduced that in October to 12.5 minutes. Last year, it was routinely, could be an hour, hour and a half, depending on when you call. So every major trend line this year has been improved. Our productivity is up. I believe that we've achieved the right balance between telework and on-site work. I'm there 5 days a week. Our headquarters, I think, is at the top. We have more on-site work than any other federal agency. And let me say finally that I mentioned in my opening remark the fact that the ALJ backlog, which was horrendous, that's where people died waiting in line, like in 2017. We've gotten that down to a record low. And you know how? Because our workloads, our hearing loads, are portable. In other words, Before COVID, 90% of claimants and their attorneys wanted an in-person hearing. That's totally flipped now. They don't want in-person hearings. They want to do it by video conference or they want to do it by teleconference. So why is that important? Because it allows people wherever they are to attend the hearing telephonically or by video. So when we're lining up things like vocational experts, doctors, the claimants themselves, we don't have time on a docket in person that has to be postponed because one of those 6 players couldn't show up because of traffic or sickness or what have you. And it's because, so which means that, say, a claimant who's in Seattle might actually have an ALJ judge in Alabama. Secondly, a big chunk of our employees are teleservice. You won't find in the private sector anywhere a teleservice center that operates making everybody come in all the time, 5 days a week, because it would be stupid. It's more effective to see it. And I would, if you don't believe me, I would encourage you to ask Chairman Ferguson, because he came to Security Stat. He saw our new platform, which, oh, by the way, saves money once we got off of the clunky Verizon system. And he saw how we monitored the teleservice agents real time on the internet. We can see them minute by minute, whether they're on the phone. We have flags on it so that their supervisors can see, oh, wow, Martin's light is flashing red. He must have a troublesome case. I'm going to send him a text. Can I help you? So I encourage you to come. I mean, the degree of openness, transparency, and measures of productivity, which are up 6.2%, I think run counter to what that old Mau. I think this agency's moved so fast, Mr. Chairman. I don't blame you for not seeing the progress yet, but
well, let me just follow up, and I see that an employee, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Social Security field office, they're only required to be in the office 3 days a week. Is that correct?
They work 5 days a week, correct. They do teleconferences. Lots of our claimants would rather do it by phone.
And I guess the question, how do you ensure constant, reliable service to Americans with such a policy in place? And are the positions with more customer service facing responsibilities in field office allow the same amount of telework? And I guess, and then also, does the employees union play any role in determining this?
No, the employees union, well, the employees union is the elected representatives of the employees. I meet with them every month. I meet with the advocates every month. I meet with my command staff around the city security stat table every 2 weeks on a rotating basis and have since I first went there. So I meet with everybody regularly because that's how I get the feedback to know whether the things we're doing are working or not working. So I think your question, if I'm understanding the call of your question, Mr. Chairman, is how do we know they're being productive?
Right.
Yes, sir. All of the main lines of service that we provide as Social Security Administration are online for everyone to see. Help me out with that tab. I've got open data that could choke a donkey. Can you show me the tab on the? So let me. The way we know they're productive, Mr. Chairman, is this. For the teleservice centers, every agent has a scorecard. And we've brought back the international colors of good to bad, red, yellow, green. And we measure 4 different things across every agent, including a constantly on medallia survey of customer service, which we have driven up to an all-time high in terms of that response.
I guess what I'm asking, but you really don't feel like there's a need right now to bring back in the office?
No, sir, I don't. I think we have. If we didn't have a better balance, we wouldn't have driven up productivity by 62.2%, the biggest uptick in 5 years. And that's all audited. If we didn't have an effective balance, we wouldn't be able to serve more customers than ever with staffing that Congress has reduced to a 50-year low. And here's another thing. We have this thing called a tool called the Field Office Optimizer that shows us in real time what the wait times are in any field office. They vary across the country. But some of them that have the largest wait times are also the most productive.
Well, let me just, my time is out. I don't want to take from my ranking member, but like I said, let me just go on record so that many on the subcommittee and in the House, we're very concerned about the high levels of telework across the administration, and we would like to see that addressed in some way. I will now turn to my ranking member, Mr. Laurel.